Okay, this one is for you, dear Capricorn. That's you over here. This is Tarot Lumination with your love and relationship mini report, generic for May 2018. So before we get into it, cards are already well shuffled in advance, but we're going to go for it to the last second so that you're a witness. I did make some notes here. I'm making this for all the signs this month because it's a huge month of radical shifts and changes. It's just the doorway to a 7-year journey. Now, especially for you, Capricorn, this is happening right here in your fifth house of true love and romance, creative self-expression, fun, happiness, joy, the pulsing heart. So well, there's lots of other things going on, but just because this is a love and relationship report, I want to emphasize here, okay? Taurus rules your fifth house of love and relationship, okay? So the things we have going on are right at the basically at the very, put it this way, at the very beginning of May, there is a Taurus Scorpio full moon coming out right at the end of April. So it is going to impact you in love and relationships some way, somehow. You're going to feel it. You're actually going to feel it in your body. And then on May 15th, we actually have the new moon, okay? Here it is, the new moon, May 15th, and it rules your fifth house here. And at the same time, we have this huge shift, 7-year journey, where Uranus is moving into Taurus, pretty much the same day. So in some way or other, there are going to be radical, unpredictable, spontaneous shifts happening in your love life, romance, creativity, creative self-expression, even business and stuff. But this is love and relationships, so you could expect the unexpected. That's the only way to describe it. Just wanted to give you a heads up. This is the very, very beginning. May 15th is the very beginning of this 7-year journey for you, Capricorn, okay? So there you go. I just wanted to, you can even say that this way, whether it's sun, moon, or rising, it hardly matters at this point. You're going to feel it, all right? At the end of the month, we have the full moon in Gemini and Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Gemini, but that's not directly related to love and relationship, but it is a big deal, okay? Anyway, here we go. Here we go. Let's have a look. Let's get into it. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Sorry, I love the cards the way they were originally made. Yeah, it's the most used card in the whole world, this particular deck, but I just happen to relate because it's very generic, you know. It's just like, it's as simple as you can get. Just a couple more shuffles. Hold on, give me a second here. All right, so here we go. I think we are good to go. All right. Thanks for bearing with me, dear Capricorn. Here we go. I'm going to cut it up, cut it up, cut it up big time so that we have a nice, super clear deck. All right, we're going to use the Crucible spread. You might have seen it before. It's on the understanding that there's you, dear Capricorn, a significant other, and a third entity itself called a relationship. And even if you're single, if you really want to stretch the laws of attraction, you're always radiating energy anyway. And so ultimately you will attract something in return, okay? So you could think of the other person over here as a potential, as a what if, all right? So here we go. This would be your frequency that you're radiating. This would be the significant other. This would be deep inside your soul, deep inside the soul of the other, and at the very core, the relationship itself, okay, which has a structure, energy, and identity of its own. And then the momentum here as we move through the month, okay? Also, we're going to be looking at the circumstantial energy. It's not really yours. It's just there surrounding you. Call it the weather. And you, Capricorn, like everyone else, make the best of it, okay? So we have the Nine of Cups. So in some ways, if you're feeling quite pleased with yourself, you might have good reason to do so. Maybe you've been a dutiful, responsible Capricorn and you've made a lot of good, healthy decisions over a very extended period of time, indicating that very classical aura that some people have of a life well lived. Not everybody can do that. A lot of people's lives are chaos. It just goes from bad to worse, and then from worse to even worse. But sometimes there are people who make good decisions step by step, which leads to better outcomes. Better outcomes gives you a greater foundation, structure, and model, a plan for greater happiness down the road. So it feels to me with the Nine of Cups here, circumstantially, that you're in a position where you can like take advantage of the happiness, the foundation of happiness that you've built inside of yourself already, no matter what's going on around you, no matter what kind of chaos, even if you are in the worst black hole of relationship dynamics possible, there is this still energy here to protect you and defend you. And you can lean on this, you can rest on this, okay? So let's have a look. What's going on inside of you? Let's have a look. Well, again, a life well lived. Here we have the Ten of Pentacles, okay? This is almost, from my perspective, this is almost better than Cups cards because this is evidence of love, okay? Ten of Pentacles would indicate here that you're radiating the aura of deep contentment, okay? Deep, solid contentment. In other words, like we said earlier with this one, this is deep content, self-content at the core, and this is being reflected back to you from your life, your surroundings, your world. No matter what it's like outside of you. In other words, you know, maybe you're bankrupt, maybe you just got divorced, maybe you've got huge alimony, maybe you're just coming out of college with massive debt, maybe who knows what it is. But that's not going to affect you here. You've got this at the core, okay? And this is being shown to you so that you fully understand that and you're aware of that. Also, by the way, you are under a lot of pressure because look at this with, let's say, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, over here, look at this. Sun, moon, rising, whichever. All of this, we have, I haven't marked it on here, but we have Pluto, Saturn, and even Mars right at this moment. But definitely Pluto and Saturn are in a long-term journey right here, and they're putting a lot of pressure on you for deep transformational changes. The reality check police are here, leaning very heavily. And that's on you, the person. So if you're one of the Capricorns who's really, really struggling, please understand that you've got something somewhere that has value and integrity and stability that you can lean on, okay? And from other people around you, including a love relationship, they may be sensing and be aware that you do have all those, let's say, hallmarks of a life well lived. Making good decisions, a bit, basically. Nothing to do with tarot or astrology or anything. It's just making loving decisions, making the decision to be the most loving person you can be at that moment. What is the most loving action you can take at that moment? It might not be comfortable, but it would be very loving. Let's have a look at the other. Okay. Well, it's a very different story over here with the Five of Cups because outwardly, at least from other people's perspectives, there is grief, there is sorrow, there is sadness of love lost. Now, in a way, that's their own business, Capricorn. It's almost like nothing to do with you, but this is still here, and it will affect the love and relationship dynamic. So if you, dear Capricorn, are relating and you're full of love and you have everything to offer and you are being the good mate to the other, and the other is still a good mate to you, but they are grieving and deeply saddened inside for whatever reason. It could be anything. Maybe maybe you guys are empty nesters and your kids are long gone. Or maybe you've just started out and you're a brand new couple and you've started to get really, really serious, and your significant other is realizing what it really, really takes to be in a very significant, deep and loving relationship, which can mean having to let go of previous conceptions of what love and relationship could or would or should have been, but it's over, it's done. And that can be very, very painful, very uncomfortable. It's like the indoctrination into a truly loving relationship. Often it means a very heavy, serious exposure to things that you might not have expected. And they might be dealing with that right now. Maybe there is a deeply tragic element to your love relationship, Capricorn, where you still got it together, okay? But there's still a tragic element to the relationship, which you might be fully aware of, but that's not going to destroy you personally, internally, it might involve radical change, but they might be feeling it in a very different way. Perhaps you have splintered yourself off from them and you are, let's say, building your strengths and foundations and contentment and have all the structures of a solid, like the solid ingredients of a loving relationship, but they're not feeling it. There's something going on with them, okay? And the element of tragedy and sorrow and grief is overwhelming their aura right now. It's radiating out of them. Let's have a look deep inside of you. Okay, well, at this period right now, because it's it's very comfortable because of the Capricorn energy here, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, sitting on top of your Capricorn. Okay, well, those are like broad conjunctions. So the thing about conjunctions in that way is that it's one of the most powerful connections you can have between the planet and the self. So it can be like, for as good as it can be, it can also be the most stressful for anything that's out of alignment, that needs to be corrected, that needs to be brought into alignment. But you've got the support of this Taurus energy here during May, and this Capricorn Taurus dynamic is typically very harmonious. So you might be literally cashing in on this right now, consciously or unconsciously, and making the best of it in a very classic Capricorn manner. It's just that it might be happening in an environment of extreme duress. In other words, you're not going to be destroyed by a very challenging episode in love and relationship, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of radical change and shift here no matter what. So deep inside, there's a part of you which is wondering whether you can actually handle this, because there's these are the outer planets. We got Pluto and Saturn over here, and we've got Uranus over here. That's heavy duty energy, okay? And it's so as good as this is, having circumstantial evidence that you're doing okay in your own way, despite whatever's happening around you, there's the deep down soul element. To me, it feels like wondering whether you can actually handle all this. It's a lot of pressure. It's harmonious pressure. It's intense, and it's very deeply transformational. And it's asking you, almost forcing you, to rise up to higher frequencies than you've ever been before. In other words, however well you're doing now, you are going to be pressured to take it up to another whole new level, whole next level dynamics in terms of love and relationship, where it isn't just about, getting your degree, your job, your car, your house, your money, your act together, whatever it is, or succeeding, classic worldly Capricorn characteristics. It's much more like, well, what are we going to do now? Well, what am I going to do now, Capricorn? Let's pretend I'm your Capricorn self. Well, what am I supposed to do now? I have all this capability, these traits, these characteristics. And you can feel the intense pressure of having to take it up to the next level, where you bring the egoic self into alignment with the spiritual self. And sometimes there can be a huge gulf between your three-dimensional worldly self and your fifth, seventh dimensional spiritual self. And you might be just getting exposed to this now. In other words, no offense, Capricorn, everything might be hunky-dory in certain ways, but at the deep soul level, you might be kind of going, gulp, gulp, what's actually happening? I hope I can handle this. I have to handle this. I know that I will do. I know that I will come into my power. I have to come into my power. It does mean taming the, let's say, the raw human element nature of yourself, and literally like fermenting that, squeezing it, turning it into a more spiritualized version of yourself. And you may not be used to it, but that's what's happening. Over here, look deep inside of them. Okay, well, with the Hanged Man here, my feeling is, with the Hanged Man, your significant other over here is literally, to me, it feels like disembodied from the relationship itself. In other words, they might be going through the motions like a zombie. You can have those periods in loving relationships where everything appears to be fine, but there's something fundamentally really out of whack, where the other party has gone off literally on a tangent, uh, to the point where it's like an out of body experience. It's so disconnected. I mean, they might be you might be sharing a bed together. You might have been sharing the bed for 10 years, but in the significant other here, they're off on a totally different planet, to the point, and it's in some ways they're doing that because they have to, because in their own journey, in their own relationship, pretend this was, inverted, if this was all about them, then this to me is an indication that they are almost at a position where they don't have a choice except to observe their life as though they're watching a movie of themselves. So you might be doing everything according to good, honest, responsible, durable Capricornian ways in love and relationship here. And then there's an external element to the relationship, which is in some ways not good. You would admit it, they would admit it, and yet the relationship continues, but it's continuing at the soul level, where there's a big disparity between yourself and the other that is not being dealt with on the surface. It's happening at the deep, deep soul level. It's very disorienting for them, and they are having to deliberately detach themselves, remove themselves. In other words, it's almost like they're playing a role in order to survive in the context of the relationship. They are having to resort to acting as if, or playing the role, or faking it till they make it to get through the challenging period, because they would be coming under the auspices of the fifth house Taurus energy over here. So it would be normal for them to feel a little bit disoriented and out of whack uh, to what's happening in the relationship, and then not having any clue about what to do about it, because they're actually living through it. This is a time-based process. In other words, in terms of time, tick tock, tick tock, tick. Random, spontaneous, totally unpredictable events, circumstances, feelings are going to happen in your love and relationship aspects of your life, which is going to impact them, but they are living through it as well. And it's just, to me, it feels very disorienting for them and not knowing what to do with it. And yet, you can still conduct yourself as a loving couple. It just might feel a bit weird. In other words, having to live through kind of a very distorting transformational period right now. And we're just looking at the opening of the doorway to this journey. Okay? Let's have a look at the core itself. Well, good. I'm really glad to see the little Page of Wands here. To me, it feels like, well, there's nothing little about the Page of Wands. It's very noble, majestic energy. To me, it just feels as though we're in a deeply loving relationship here, but it's very, very challenging because certain aspects of the relationship are really out of the whack. I can't see what they are here in the reading. You yourself would know, Capricorn. And maybe it's the situation is too new, too fragile, too deeply buried into the soul understanding to be even able to identify what it is at this moment. But it looks like both of you still have the courage and the desire to carry on because there's so much invested already. Okay? So to me, that's encouraging. So despite the tragedy and the grief and the sorrow over here that they might be radiating, even without them knowing it, there's still, it feels to me like there's a commitment here and a desire to like keep going and tap into always remember the good stuff that you have invested already. Like, whether you guys know it or not, if you're really, really being stretched to the limits of your abilities to cope in the relationship, you still have the core ingredients, the foundations of the relationship. Perhaps you think of it like you signed a contract. You still have the contract as a go-to place to make a reckoning. In other words, like, I've got all this. We're okay. We're good. Well, I'm not sure about it. I'm really wigging out. And then it's almost like you, in your strength, Capricorn, can say, well, honey, don't forget, we've still got this. Okay? We're contracted. We're committed. We can get through anything. We're going to be fine. And I can see that you're having a rough time right now. I have no idea what it is or why. And if you don't know what it is or why, it's okay. We'll figure it out. That's the theme that I'm feeling here. Prospects. The thing is that with the Eight of Cups here, it feels to me it's like once this comes to the surface a bit more and more and more, like through May and then coming out of May into June, when we're actually officially through the front door, you've actually crossed the threshold. May 15th is the threshold date. This is the actual date of threshold, moving through the doorway. The door is opening on the first 2 weeks of May. The door opens on May 15th, and then we're moving on, and the door closes. There's no going back. So think of May 15th as a very, very significant calendar moment, ushering in a brand new journey for the next 7 years. And to me, it feels like it could be an indication that both of you may have to come to a reckoning where you have to admit it, like, you know, we've lived through so much, we've got so much going on, we've shared so much love, we have so much love, and yet there's still more to learn, more to do, more of where to go. But the reality is, like all of us, we're on a journey and we don't necessarily know where that is. So you might feel this sense of disorientation. You, Capricorn, might be feeling it as you go, especially by the end of the month. You might be feeling it like, oh gosh, I had no idea what Terra Lumination was talking about right at the beginning of May. But at the end of May, I think you will feel it deep in your heart that you, Capricorn, become much more vividly aware of all the love that you've shared, but also the love that is, like, let's say, expired. You know, you've lived it. It's history. It's over. And so what do we do now? It's an extension of the spiritual journey, okay? And they're feeling it too. And you can have that. That's perfectly okay to have that in a loving relationship where you can become very, very close. And if you've got serious history between you, you can look at each other and kind of go, wow, we've done so much. We've had so much. We're so blessed. We're so lucky. And I'm having a really tragic time out right now, and I know I'm waking out. I'm sorry, but if you're sensing it now at the end of May, I understand it. And so that to me, it feels like, let's just admit that both of us are heading into new territory where neither of us have ever been before. And the only thing we can do is to continue to lean on each other, be there for each other as we did before. And to me, that's, in a way, it's kind of very beautiful because it's dealing with the full cornucopia of what happens in life and love and relationship, where you get to experience and have it all, but you also become fully aware of all the tragic elements. You might have shared so much, but there are certain things that are lost and gone forever, and that's just how it is. Could be anything, whatever that is, maybe homes, pets, careers, locations, children, chapters of your life that are gone forever, and whole new chapters are unfolding. But it's not an unsolved mystery because nothing has even happened yet. All I'm saying is that this door is opening right now here, and it's going to continue. And it's like both of you are going to have to continue on the journey together, perhaps with very little in terms of a compass about where to go or how to do this, but you still have each other. All right, I'm just going to leave it at that, Capricorn. I don't want to say anything more and ruin it. You can reinterpret however you want. Also, everybody, watch for your sun, moon, and rising, and reinterpret however you want. But this is just a little generic story that I'm telling for you guys for now. So please make the best of it, Capricorn. Again, May is a very, very pivotal month for everybody, but it is especially pivotal for you, Capricorn, because the Taurus chapter is in your fifth house of love and relationship, true love, romance, creativity, creative self-expression. So please make the best of it. It's like you have the best of the best going on, and you have the worst of the tragedies going on, but you still have so much that you can lean on. It's not the end of the world. It's the opening into a new journey. Treat it as a spiritual journey. It's not about how much can I get anymore for ourselves or each other. It's like that part's done. The rest of it from here on is the deep soul spiritual journey as a couple. Okay? You can handle it. All right? Bye-bye.